Hey guys, today we're talking about the newest proposal for stimulus checks. If you like money, which I assume most of you guys do, you'll definitely like this proposal. This one probably provides one of the highest payments of any proposal we've seen, including a one-time payment as well as reoccurring monthly payments. And everyone is eligible for the stimulus payment, unlike the other ones which have eligibility requirements and a lot of other rules that make a ton of Americans not eligible. This is definitely one of those plans where it's like, wow, I can't believe someone proposed something like this. Just based on the amount of money that's given, as well as the fact that everyone in America will get this payment, it definitely makes this one probably the most hard to actually pass. Also, they're actually trying out a new way of actually getting people their money. And it seems to be a lot more easy than this current fiasco of sending out these stimulus checks, which obviously has not been going too well for the government. So in my opinion, it's just crazy that a bill of this size, of this magnitude was proposed. So it will be very interesting to see where this proposal actually ends up heading. Now, will this proposal pass? Who knows? But it was an official bill that was proposed by Rashida Tlaib and Pramila Jayapal. So before we get into this new proposal, let's really quickly run over the other three proposals that are on the table. The first is the Emergency Money for the People Act. This is probably the most popular one, and this would actually provide $2,000 a month payments for up to 1 year. This means that married couples would get a total of $4,000 per month, which is quite a bit of money. Dependents and college students would also get this money, and their income requirements are a lot less strict than the current stimulus plan. For example, you'd get the full $2,000 a month if you made anything less than $130,000 per year. Now, most Americans will not make that much money, so that plan would put this $2,000 per month into the pockets of most Americans. The second is the Rent and Mortgage Cancellation Act. Like the name implies, this would cancel rent and mortgage payments for up to 1 year. This would apply to all residential properties, but it is limited to one property per person. Essentially, this proposal would let you forgive your payments for your primary residence. Doesn't matter if you have a mortgage, doesn't matter if you're renting, whatever you are paying for your actual primary residence, this would be forgiven by the government. There'd be no negative marks on your credit history, and this would basically create a relief fund for landlords and lenders who'd be missing out on their payments. The third is the Getting America Back to Work Act. And this would create a refundable payroll tax rebate that covers up to 80% of payroll expenses, up to the median wage. This essentially would just enable businesses to more easily hire people and would also allow them to retain their current employees. This act would also create a rehiring bonus for employees who were laid off and then rehired back. Okay, so now let's get into this actual new proposal, which you guys are waiting to hear about. This new proposal is called the Automatic Boost to Communities Act, ABC Act. How it works is it would essentially give a $2,000 one-time payment to all Americans. You could be a dependent, a millionaire, a billionaire, a college student, a criminal, Jeff Bezos. It wouldn't matter who you were, you would get this $2,000 one-time payment. After this, you would get essentially $1,000 per month until up to 1 year after this whole COVID-19 pandemic ends. So once this pandemic ends, I'm not sure how they're gonna classify that, but once it does end on paper, then you are still gonna get those $1,000 payments for an entire year. So you know how the government has been having quite some trouble actually getting the past stimulus checks out to Americans? Well, this act provides another solution to actually paying Americans, and it might be a lot easier. So yeah, this brings me into my next point, which is how they're actually going to be paying people. To get the $2,000 out to Americans, the ABC Act would basically provide all Americans with a Boost debit card. This Boost debit card would be preloaded with $2,000 when you receive it. And it functions just like any debit card. You can use it to actually get cash out, or you can use it to buy things at the grocery store, mall, online shopping. It doesn't really matter. It's just like a normal debit card. So yeah, instead of receiving a check or getting the money directly deposited into your bank account, this would be a physical debit card that they would actually mail out to most people. And once you do get that card, you just hold on to that card, and each month after that, you're gonna get an additional $1,000 loaded into it. So now, why are they actually trying to propose using a prepaid debit card? Essentially, I think this is more of an easy way to actually get money to people than having to deal with checks and also direct deposit information. It also makes it a lot easier to get money in the hands of people who don't have bank accounts or who aren't able to actually cash in checks. However, with these prepaid debit cards, I think it might be a lot more easy to get scammed, or if they lose their debit card, then that might present some issues as well. Who knows? We'd have to see after this bill is actually passed how they would actually implement this and how they would make it a safe way to get money into the hands of Americans. So now, are you guys familiar with the No Child Left Behind Act of 2002? This is basically basically the stimulus version of that act, in the sense that it gives the money to everyone in America. If we look at the actual proposed bill, you can see that it states this money would go to everyone, including dependents, non-citizens like undocumented people, permanent residents, and visitors over 3 months. It'd also be given to people who didn't have a bank account, a social security number, or a permanent address. People in unincorporated areas would also get the money. There wouldn't be an income limit. People at the poverty line would get the money. People that were billionaires would get the money. The government wouldn't care how much you made. This also makes it a lot easier to actually see who's eligible because you don't need to actually look at everyone's financials. So yeah, this is the most ambitious and far-fetching proposal that I've seen just based on the eligibility. And by eligibility, I mean there is no eligibility. It is less money per month than the $2,000 a month proposal, but this one lasts a lot longer and it gives everyone money. So I am thinking that the rich would definitely prefer this proposal over the other one, since rich people would actually be receiving this money as well. I'm not saying that's the right thing. Hopefully rich people would take the money and maybe donate it, but the fact that this one is just open to everyone would probably make it a more appealing option for rich people. So now, how are they going to find everyone that lives in the United States? This proposal calls for the US Treasury to actually work with other government agencies. For example, they would work with agencies such as the IRS, Social Security Administration, election commissions, and even the DMV. All these agencies would compile their data and come up with a comprehensive list of people in the United States. Now, I mentioned that they're actually planning on paying people using these Boost debit cards, but how are they actually going to get these debit cards out to people? Because now we're dealing with a physical thing, sort of like a check. How are they going to get these into the hands of Americans? If you look directly at the bill, you can see that there are 3 ways they'll actually give out these debit cards. The first is, if you have an address on file with the government, then they'll just send you the card in the mail using USPS. Now, if you don't have a permanent address, you can actually go to an FDIC insured bank or credit union and pick it up there. They're also talking about setting up temporary card distribution centers, which would be set up at local post offices and US embassies. And if people are homeless or disabled, they're actually going to have people go out personally and deliver these cards to them. They'll deliver the cards and also show them how it works. Okay, another question is, and you're probably all wondering, where does this money come from? You can't possibly just create $2 trillion out of thin air, right? Well, you sort of can, and that's what this bill is proposing. The ABC Act would get its money from the Treasury with no additional debt. This means that they aren't borrowing the money technically, and they're not adding to the US's debt. Instead, they're just creating 2 $1 trillion platinum coins. Okay, so now you're probably wondering, like, what does that mean? What do you mean they're just creating 2 coins? Well, essentially this means that they are just creating new money. They're adding additional money into the world. Of course, that does lead to inflation, but I'm assuming that they think this is an easier and better way than actually just adding to the US's debt problem. How it would work is the US Mint would issue 2 coins, and after that, Congress would actually direct the Federal Reserve to purchase these coins. By purchasing these coins, they'd be crediting the US Mint's account at the Federal Reserve with $2 trillion in reserves. The Fed would then just hold on to these 2 coins indefinitely or permanently for the sake of their balance sheet. The funds in these reserve accounts would then be transferred over to the regular Treasury accounts, and from there on, it would be made available to the Bureau of Fiscal Service to actually give out to Americans. The congresswoman who actually proposed this bill says directly, "This means we need to help our neighbors pay their bills, purchase groceries, and other quality of life needs. The ABC Act is designed to help cushion these blows during and after this global health crisis while chipping away at economic inequality in our society during this pandemic." I just wanted to focus on the last part about the economic inequality. So with this huge injection of money, they're basically increasing the amount of money that everyone in the world has by a little bit. Now, of course, people near the poverty line or those poor Americans who are living more paycheck to paycheck will see their income drastically change proportionately to where they were before. They will see the biggest difference from this money versus a millionaire or a billionaire who, makes a ton of money per month. This $1,000 wouldn't really help them at all. So they would see little benefit from it. I mean, hopefully they'll donate the money or give it to people that are actually in need. But yes, this universal income would decrease the amount of economic inequality that there is in society. They're also saying that they want to create a digital dollar system by the year 2021. They're looking at the possibility of using the Boost debit card's infrastructure to actually create a digital currency system. This digital currency would be backed on the US dollar. I mean, this is all cool and all, but I think most of us are just concerned with how much money each American will get from these proposals. And yeah, when you look at this plan, it really is automatic. There really is no eligibility. So really, I think this is a properly named proposal. It is just essentially universal basic income. So yeah, it is interesting to see all these different proposals that these people are coming up with. Right now we have 4 proposals on hand and all of them are quite different. I'm curious to see which one is going to have the most impact on the actual stimulus bill that will be passed. I mean, we're already seeing more and more money be approved for actual small businesses, such as the last interim bill that was just approved and signed by Trump. This added an additional $484 billion to help fund small businesses through this pandemic. So really the next move is to see what they are going to fund for the actual people, how they're going to actually stimulate the economy by putting money into the hands of Americans. Anyways, hope you guys found this video informative. Make sure to share it with a friend who might be interested in this news. Now, just because these proposals are out doesn't mean that one of them will necessarily get passed. In reality, I feel like the final plan that is passed will have a mix between all these different proposals. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to stay up to date with the most current stimulus plan news. I'll be making more and more videos about the stimulus plan and what is passed as they become available. So yeah, that's it for today, you guys. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.